Just 5 financial statistics are needed to reveal how financially well off someone is. It's their income, their savings, their investments, their retirement balance, and their debt. Add them up and you get a clear picture of where you really stand. In this video, I'll walk through all 5 statistics, share the Australian average, and reveal how you stack up. Let's start with the incomes. The Australian Bureau of Statistics has revealed their average weekly earnings data. The headline figure they've given us for a full-time Australian worker is $2,047 a week before they doctor the numbers. If we divide by 7 and multiply by 365 days, this comes to around $106,000 a year before tax, super deductions, overtime, and bonuses. However, as we know, averages can be deceiving. ABS has another page on their website called Employee Earnings, which was published in December. Here they published their median earnings data, which came to $1,700 a week. When we annualize this, we get $88,642 a year. Half of Australian full-time workers earn less than this, while half earn more than this. The ABS estimates there are over 10 million full-time workers in Australia, so 5 million earn more than $88,600 and another 5 million earn less than this. Drilling down by state, the ABS only reports median earnings of all workers, not just the full-time ones. The nation state has the highest median incomes across all income earners, up around the $1,700 mark a week. Then we have Western Australia and Northern Territory on $1,500 a week. Turns out government and mining are two great earners for Australians, which if we dig a bit deeper, we can see in the industry breakdown. Utility, professional, and financial services are all high earners too, if you are wanting to earn a high income in Australia. Managers and professionals do well on average, of course, earning a median income exceeding $50 an hour. And having a higher level of education also tends to pay more. Stringing all of this together, if you're working in the nation's capital with a manager title and a good education, chances are you're earning pretty well. So that covers what a good income in Australia looks like and the statistics around who the high income earners are. Before we move on to savings, I want to share a quick word from today's video sponsor, Kinsta. Your website is the front door to your business, and if it's slow, unreliable, or constantly down, it's like hanging a closed sign when customers come knocking. And that's why having a fast, secure, and reliable hosting is non-negotiable. And that's exactly where Kinsta comes in. Kinsta offers managed hosting for WordPress that's built for speed, security, and peace of mind. They run everything on Google Cloud's premium tier network with 37 global data centers and over 260 CDN locations. In simple terms, your site could run up to 200% faster. Security is next level as well. Kinsta gives you enterprise-grade firewalls, DDoS protection, isolated environments, and an SLA-backed uptime guarantee of up to 99.99%, all backed by SOC 2 certification. So your site, your data, and your reputation stay protected. And if you ever need help, you're talking to real WordPress experts, not AI bots. Their support team is available 24/7, 365 days a year. And G2 rated them number 1 in hosting for WordPress. And if we jump over into Trustpilot, they're rated a whopping 4.8 out of 5. So if you are tired of playing IT support for your own website, now's the time to upgrade. Kinsta's offering your first month free, plus a 30-day money-back guarantee, and they'll even move your site for you, no tech skills needed. Hit the link down below in the video description or scan the QR code on the screen to get started with Kinsta today. Now let's take a look at the average Australian savings. When we talk about savings, we aren't referring to broad asset classes. We're simply talking about cash in the bank. For many people, they have a single account where their incomes go and expenses are paid out of. Others, on the other hand, might have separate accounts where they store their emergency funds or they stash away money for goals like a house deposit, a holiday, or regular expense buckets like the barefoot investor. Luckily for us, there is a good body of data out there which tells us what the average Australian is saving or has saved. Comparison website Finder has done a study and found that the average Australian saves $742. Gen Z has the highest saving rate at $971 a month. Those living in New South Wales are the highest savers overall, followed closely by those living in Victoria. A good measure of someone's financial position in the savings space is whether they have an emergency fund. This is the money you can tap into should you have an unexpected cost, like a medical bill or losing your job. 23% of Australians reported they had an emergency fund that would last 6 months or more. However, a much greater 45% of Australians wouldn't have enough to last a month. Women tend to outperform the men in this space, as do those living in South Australia. Having a strong cash balance isn't just good for your net worth, but it's important for preparing for a rainy day. So if you have a strong cash position, perfect. But if you don't, this is something you can work towards. Westpac have also done some analysis on their customer base in Australia. Below about 54 years of age, the median Australian has a savings balance between $800 and $2,500. This is on the lower end of where it should be, so the average savings position of an Australian is pretty poor and definitely needs some work. So with a pretty dismal view of savings, let's take a look at another massive store of wealth for Australians: investments and property. According to Finder, over half of Australian adults hold investments outside of their super accounts. With the rise of investing apps, about a quarter of them made their first investment since 2023. Millennials are the most active investors, and interestingly, so are the men. So when it comes to savings, women come out on top, while for investing, it's the men, especially when it comes to owning shares and ETFs. This is changing quickly, however, with the gap fast narrowing. With the rise of fantastic women influencers in the space, like Victoria, Natasha, and Simran, this is only set to continue increasing. We covered savings earlier, but looking down the list, term deposits and stocks are held by more than 10% of all Australians. So if you invest in either of those, you're part of an exclusive group of Australians. Investment property is held by 8% of Australians, as are ETFs, trailed by managed or index funds. InfoChoice performed a survey last year, looking at the breakdown of Australians that invest in growth assets like stocks. Mindful of the selective bias, as the interviewees were found on an investing website, we can draw interesting conclusions. Millennials and Gen Z typically have less than $20,000 invested in stocks. So if you have started investing and have a few grand saved up, you're already doing better than most Australians who have yet to start investing or have only just dabbled. Alongside investments, we have property. This quite neatly ties into our fourth topic of debt, as for most people, and especially property investors, mortgages are the largest debt many of us will ever have. In 2025, the median house price in Australia is $831,000, according to Cotality. Right up at the top of the list is Sydney at $1.2 million, trailed by Brisbane and Adelaide at $918,000 and $830,000 respectively. InfoChoice found that roughly 61% of Australians owned a home, of which 27% of these own the home outright. If you're in that group, you're likely to be financially well off, as not only do you own a freehold asset worth an average $831,000, but you'll have a much lower housing cost to take care of. This can help grow your savings, your investments, or purchasing additional property assets. As expected, the older generations tend to be in a better financial position here. If we expand the reach, roughly 1 in 5 Australians own one or more properties outside of their main residence. So if you own a home with no or nearly no debt, you're among the wealthiest in Australia, reaching a level only 16% of Australians ever reach. There will be others that have prioritized investing in other asset classes, but given their lack of adoption relative to housing in this country, the rates aren't likely to be high. Debt is a growing issue when it comes to people's financial position. When buying a home, the average mortgage these days is around $660,000 in Australia. A 30-year loan on your average Australian home at a rate of 5.4% would set you back $855 a week. So debt heavily reduces your ability to save, to invest, or to grow your investment base outside of your property and retirement accounts. Looking at the average levels of debt, Australian households are among the most indebted anywhere in the world. The average credit card balance is over $3,000, personal loan $8,000, car loan $13,000, and student loan $27,000. Looking at the entire population, 35% of people have a mortgage, 54% a credit card, 14% a personal loan, and the same for a car loan. To boost your financial position, use debt efficiently to build your appreciating asset base. A car tends to decline in value as soon as you drive it off the car lot. whereas a home tends to increase in value over time. But of course, sometimes you need a loan to purchase a car to make it to a job that provides an income to spend, and more importantly, save and invest. So in this case, minimizing the debt through using cash or buying a cheaper car could be a wise decision to improve your financial position. And finally, the last measure of an Australian's financial position is their retirement account, or super. Your employer is legally required to contribute a percentage of your salary into your super fund. Right now, it's 11.5%, but it's set to increase to 12% from July. So if you are currently earning $100,000 a year, that's 11.5 grand going into your super without lifting a finger. ASFA and the ATO have done a lot of work to determine the median super balance by age, which you can see in this table here. So if you have a super balance above the median for your age, you're definitely doing better than most. In summary, if you own a home, have minimal to no debt, have savings that would cover at least a month of expenses, a super that exceeds the median for your age, and have started investing, you're doing extremely well. Everyone's financial starting point is different. Some people inherit money, others have a rougher start to life. But no matter where you start, the most important thing is getting the basics right. Save money, invest it in assets that appreciate in value, prioritize tax-advantaged accounts like super, use debt responsibly, and you'll be miles ahead of most Australians. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up down below, and don't forget to subscribe. It really helps the channel grow, so if you've got some value out of it, make sure to join our 20,000 plus subscribers. And if you're thinking about upgrading your web hosting, make sure to check out Kinsta by using my link down below in the video description. Also make sure to check these videos out here, showing you the top performing super funds and how to shift your mindset to think like the 1%. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to catching you on the next one. Cheers.